We're live, Rich. This is Ted
Live
Hicks.
in full effect.
Ted Hicks and Rich Valdez, Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Rich, how are you doing? Happy Easter.
I'm happy Easter. Happy Easter to everyone out there who may be celebrating, or even if you're not. Happy Easter. It's just a holiday for some of us. Hope everyone's having a safe and healthy Easter and enjoying themselves. For those that it was, it's a Sunday, but we might have had Friday off or at least a partial day off. Hope you're enjoying yourselves and what was on the East Coast, at least, a beautiful spring day, a beautiful spring Sunday. Hello from Warner Robins. How are you, Tony?
Tony D, what's going on, man? How you doing? Yoshi Dabs, thank you for subscribing.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We really do. And Richie V, I am messing around with this configuration because I am going to get up there with you. Okay.
Okay. There we go.
So what's new?
Not too much.
Yeah, what's new with you? It's just like, we do this. I remember we did this in the studio weekly.
Remember those days?
Man, it seemed like yesterday, but it's really like, over several years. I don't know what the best time it was in the studio. Was it the old studio or was it the new studio that you preferred?
I kind of liked the old studio.
Me too.
The new studio was nice. I mean, of course, the new studio didn't come with all new equipment since it was a move, which would have been nice. But I don't know. The old studio just had a nice feel to it. That's all there was. There was nothing wrong with the new studio, though. And of course, we had super producer Brian, who if by any chance you're listening to us, Brian, shout out to you. Hope all is well. Those were good days. But yeah, we used to get out there and do this weekly. Hustle to the studio, do that recording. It was fun. But I kind of like this too. The Haps platform seems to be rolling pretty well.
No, it is. It definitely is. I'm just making a mess right now. Making a mess right now. Making a mess. But it's Rich, no commute, no nothing. Nope. You're getting video, you get your audio. It's high quality. You get to talk about whatever you want to talk about, and you don't have that crazy commute going back home.
Nope. And we're getting streamed out to so many different locations. Twitter feeds are on there now, Facebook feeds. It's pretty nice. So shout out to Haps.
Big shout out to Haps. You're doing a good job. Let's see. Let me just try to make sure everything is shared appropriately. I believe it is. Okay. And all right, so we'll get started. So I get to say it very early.
You get to say it. Go ahead. Wait for it.
We were in pre-pro discussing we were discussing storage, we were discussing backups because World Backup Day was 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Big shout out to our friends from Acronis, ACRONIS.com. The kings of data backup, making it easy for the consumers and also available for the enterprise also. Yep. So big shout out to for several years. I'm going to say at least 4 years Acronis has been backing up various instances of our data, and it's just good to know that it's there. It's available on demand, and what's so great about it is I was working on a document that I thought I had saved to my OneDrive, which I didn't. It was locally on my machine. And you know what? I went to the console, I pulled it up, I went to my specific machine, and boom, there it was. The document was sitting right there.
Nice.
So it's yes, I could have used RDP and everything else like that. I get it, but the document was there with no issues. There was no drama, and I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been fortunate that I haven't had to fall back on my backups. But see, so for those in the non-tech world, when we talk about backups, we don't mean that you have we'll call it your document. We don't mean that you have your document on your local machine and you've got it on a thumb drive also. That's not a backup. That's a copy. That's not a backup.
It's not a backup.
If you want to have a true backup solution, you're going to have your document on your local machine. You're going to have copies of that document. Sure, you could say I got a copy on my USB as well, but you also want to have at least another copy on, say, another machine at home or wherever the primary machine is. But you also want to have some sort of online automatic backup to the cloud. So you've got to cover yourself so that if your local machine blows up, you still have backups locally at home. If there's a fire and everything at the local home is destroyed, you still got backups in the cloud. That's a true backup system. And if at all possible, you want this to all be automated so that you don't have to say, "Oh, I forgot to run the backups last week," and you're maybe you got a bad version of a document or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I've got multiple online backups, a couple of in-house backups. Um, but still, I do like trusting more and more the cloud. I mean, the ease, of course, about that is being able to access it from wherever. That's always the good thing about a cloud-based solution. Um, but yeah, I'm thinking these days, yeah, who's going to get my money for some more backup storage? I'm thinking Google. I just have this love-hate relationship with Apple,
I
and
know
giving
you
Apple
do.
money just bothers me. I think even though I'm only using about half of that storage that Google gives us, I might, give them some money, increase that storage because just for my photos, I just like to have that secondary, or else in this case, it's quaternary solution for backing up my photos and having them available anywhere. So I'm thinking about it, but we'll see.
I could see you leaning more towards Google being more Android centered.
Yes.
And not that you don't have, Apple products, but I could see you leaning more towards the Android OS and, Google and everything else like that. I want to share this quick story about why you need to back up your data.
Okay.
World Backup Day was the 18th or the 19th or the 20th of March, but I'm not sharing it for World Backup Day. I'm just sharing it so that we're all smarter and we're all better people and everything else like this. So
Okay.
I have a dedicated tax machine.
Right.
Standalone machine that I boot up every year. I think you know where this story is going.
Go ahead.
So
how old is said machine?
That machine is about 10 years old, probably.
Okay.
But like I said, it's a light machine. No one surfs on it. It's password protected. So, like, even if the kids wanted to come down and print or do anything like that, no one has access to that machine except me. Okay. So we get to the point. I try to boot up said machine for tax season. This was last year.
Okay.
Said machine boots up, and I receive an error message that it's not reading the hard disk. So I'm looking around. I'm like, all right, let me disconnect everything. Let me do everything that I need to do. I get back, machine's not booting. I'm like, all right, So I run to the local store and I get the kind of like the 2.5 SATA
Yep. The
SSD
adapter.
adapter and everything else like that. It's not reading the hard disk.
Drive failure.
I start to get a little nervous, just a little, just slightly nervous.
Sure.
Because I'm like, okay, my tax information is on there. Yeah. What do I do? If we were non-technical folks, we would be screwed. So what I did was, I mean, luckily for me, I was able to go to Acronis, pull up the backup, and the files were there. And I continued to move on. I moved that machine to the side and powered up a backup machine and was able to, after installing the software, the tax software, I was, back at it. But I could see that being a total nightmare because in most cases, people would then go down the path of data recovery, which tends to be still expensive, depending on the size of the drive.
Yep.
So it's not as expensive as when we used to deal with data recovery years ago, which was thousands upon thousands of dollars.
I had to, but then again, it was I had to, and this is at our employment location. Had to do data recovery. That was like 2 years ago, and that quote on that was like $1,400.
Right.
And I had a client who had a RAID array, who I had him set up for backups, but he wasn't following the procedures and he just wasn't doing things properly. So the backups were out of date, and he had a RAID drive crash on one that 2 drives had already failed. Again, not letting me know things. And yeah, he ended up spending upwards of $2,000 to get that recovered because it's his business.
Right. So it's so strange because I had a customer last week. They had a thumb drive, really small thumb drive.
Not a backup solution, not a primary storage solution. If you have data only on the thumb drive, you don't have data. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I had a thumb drive.
Yep. Okay. I see where it's from.
And I told them, I said, okay, there's no haps. It's not going to happen. The best thing we can do is let's look up data recovery. And it was like, for thumb drives, it was like $145 starting,
right.
Starting at $145. And I said, okay, that's your best bet. I said, what's going to happen is you're going to send it. They're going to run their scans. They're going to run their software. They might remove the hardware. And they're going to give you a readout. They're going to give you a readout. And if you want your data, you're going to have to pay the price.
Yep.
And the key thing was starts at $145.
Right.
So who knows what the end result will be for something like that.
And documents were only on that thumb drive, huh?
Documents were only on that thumb drive. Only on that thumb drive. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we really, and it's funny because we used to laugh about the cloud like 10, 15 years ago. We used to laugh about the cloud. We're like, oh yeah, the cloud and this, and then you see the true reliance on it once it became stable.
Right. And that was the key. I mean, we go back to the days of, we go way back as far as quote unquote internet connectivity.
Yes.
Before there was such a thing as always on connectivity. I remember hearing modems dial and, things like that. But yeah, there was still a long period where, all right, it's like, all right, I'm going to put my data in the cloud, but my access to the cloud can go down whenever because my provider's not stable or I don't have that type of connection yet, or or I can't afford it because we got to remember that the data speeds we have now, really, even just go back 10 years, consumers could not get 200 megs download as a starting package. You were lucky if you had if you were big, you had a DSL line, and you got your 3 or 4 megabits download, and you were happy with that. But yeah, it's come a long way. I mean, we can really get. I think the first entity we'd probably say thank you to is Amazon, because
Yes.
Amazon Web Services and their support of small business. And Bezos thought of, you know what, I'm going to just create the platform where everyone can put their data here and make it affordable, and they'll just become the central location and be a reliable centralized location. That's what changed the game. So now we can all, and Google, not short shifting Google at all.
Right.
Between those two, just making storage available to the masses through stable, and as we get faster and faster internet connections, you can seriously think of the cloud as a reliable, safer source of holding your data, as a repository for holding your data.
It's true. It's true. It's come a long way. It's come a really long way. I remember I was on a project, and it was data backup. The project was called Connected.
Mm-hmm.
And this was circa 2002, Rich.
Okay.
So almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was an S show because back then we were just touching cable modems. We
right.
were just, I mean, like the chosen few had cable modems,
right,
at decent speeds.
Yep.
So back then we were looking at, and we were looking at this product, and it's basically like, hey, if you're connected, with your dial-up modem, it's going to start your full data backup. It's working off the premise of doing a full backup versus incremental.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't grasp that people, meaning consultants, tax preparers, and the like, we're going to be in a situation that they're depending on this connection, and anything can happen.
Right.
And I was so happy. That was one of the projects I got pulled off of, and I was so happy about it, because I was like, it's a total mess.
That was one of those cases. It sounds like where development and engineering was ahead of what was available.
Yeah.
They had the right thought, they had the right idea, but the infrastructure really wasn't there yet. And obviously this was a corporate thing, and
yes,
corporate money is a totally different situation.
Yes.
But still, at those numbers as it must have been back then, and just doing full backups, even though the amounts of data we're looking at back then, I remember when entire financial exchanges email system, the whole thing was 12 gigs. The entire thing. It's like 12 gigs. Heck, I'm carrying that around in a thumb drive in my pocket these days. It's a throwaway. The amount of data that everyone has now and uses it's exponentially larger, and we kind of forget that.
No, we do. It's just, it's good that we've progressed so much, because nowadays it's getting to a point with FiOS, they're handing out gig connections,
right,
with their FiOS service. A small business would have a gig connection,
right,
for their systems. So things have really, really, really changed. I wanted to ask you because I know I sent you an invite, and I don't know if you filled it out or not, and it might be overkill. Have you joined Clubhouse?
No. And we talked about it, and it's funny, I heard about it after the fact, and for some reason I don't remember seeing that invite. I'm sure you sent it. I could do a search in a few moments, actually. But no, I have not joined Clubhouse. But tell me about your experience with it. I was just listening to a podcast recently, and they were talking about it, about the conversations that go on there, and how it's different from other platforms.
It's different. It is different. And I will say I like the product itself. I like the product. For us, I don't see much of a benefit because we're podcasters.
Right.
Now, you've made us step into the live streaming world. So, it's different because you have a conversation. That conversation isn't recorded, Rich. It's not hosted anywhere. It's done. So I can see if you're going to have a situation where you have to have some secondary type recording device if you're going to do something in Clubhouse.
Okay.
I see that, and I've joined when I've joined various sessions. So like when Bill Gates was on, I joined that one. Who else famous? There was one day. It was a Sunday. It was D-Nice, DJ Scratch. A lot of the DJs did a specific Clubhouse session, and it was really good. It was enjoyable. But you would think that you would want to then take it and house it somewhere so that it can be, an audio recording.
So are you saying that what the meetings that happen there aren't recorded, aren't available for playback?
No, they're not.
So they're one shot only, and once it happens, that's it.
That's it.
Not memorialized in any way.
Not at all. Gone.
Wow.
So I don't know if there's any benefit in that.
I mean, so it does sound like you could create, whatever you organize with whatever celebrity, then that gives it a uniqueness. So, it's kind of like, I guess if you were to call them pop-up meetings.
Right.
And then it sounds like, sure, there's like accessibility to the people who attend the meeting. And I guess you can do Q&As and things like that, I'm going to assume. So, maybe it's a springboard for other things. Maybe it works like that. Someone says, yeah, we're going to meet on Clubhouse. So-and-so is going to be there, answer your questions, talk about a new project, blah, blah, blah. And then it's done and it's gone. And you can maybe use it to drum up, special business, special interest.
I guess.
I could maybe.
I guess. So Spotify just purchased Locker Room. Locker Room is similar to Clubhouse.
Okay.
Where they talk strictly sports. Okay. So it's rooms with just strictly sports. I'm like, okay. But I think it's the same thing where, and don't quote me on it yet because I just joined Locker Room and I was just thumbing through there before the show. And I'm like, okay, I see a need for audio, but if that content isn't stored somewhere, I really don't know like the true benefit of it. I mean, free conference call allows you to record.
Right. So in either case, do they let the client, is there an option in the client to record, even if they're not, storing it if the host or mediator isn't storing it on that end? Is there an option in the client for the viewer to save it?
I don't believe so. And I think when you do start to go that path, then you're going to start to look at a subscription. Right. Meaning it's gonna cost something.
Right.
So right now these are just free services. I tried Twitter Spaces. I think I might have also sent you a form so that you can enable Twitter Spaces, and it works just the same as Clubhouse. These are all like Clubhouse copycats.
Okay, I don't remember seeing the Twitter Spaces one. The Clubhouse, I remember. I just can't find it right now, but I don't remember the Twitter Spaces. We'll
if not
offline, we'll get those again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it back to you. Or if maybe I didn't send it. But it's the same idea, of, hey, impromptu sessions. But I still can't get over the fact that you're going to want to have an archive of that.
Right.
There's
got to be. I can't see that the host then doesn't have a recording option. Maybe it's it's just saved locally to whatever, and then they're allowed to download it and post it on their own services wherever they like. Because otherwise, I mean, just to be a one and done kind of meeting platform seems kind of limited.
It does, and that's where like I said, I'm stuck. Because I'm looking at these products and I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? But hang on one second. Let's see. I mean, I could tell you for one, I haven't seen anything in regards to recording or anything else like that. Okay. This past week, I could tell you for one, Periscope, Twitter finally sunset Periscope. And sitting here in this platform, there's a lot of old Periscope users that have migrated over. But it's funny because it's sunset, Rich, but what people don't seem to realize is the same hardware that supported Periscope,
right?
That hardware is now being used to support Twitter Live. So
well, that's how it works. They wanted to keep it under their own umbrella. Take what they can from it. Take what was useful.
Take the best. The rest. Carve it up. How many times have we seen that?
Yep.
We've seen that multiple occasions. But so any thoughts on vaccine expansion?
Yeah. Glad to see it's happening. I mean, again, we're here East Coast, and things have opened up now. So what is it? Anyone over the age of 18 or over 16 is now eligible to get the vaccine, which is awesome. I mean, I have no complaints on the method that was used to roll this out. You had to prioritize. You couldn't just open it up to everyone all at once, because sure, we would have had lines that were 10 hours long instead of 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And still, you did have groups of people who truly needed it a little more because they were more susceptible. They were in danger. So I have no problem with the way it was rolled out and distributed. Yeah, it's good to see. I mean, I got both of my shots and made it through. My wife has gotten one and she's got the schedule for the other. Other family members, of course, everyone's talking about it now. Everyone's pretty much had one or has had both. Knock on wood, no one that I know of has had any major reactions. Everyone talks, basically sure the sore arm for a couple of days, depending on your first shot or second shot, maybe some chills, maybe not feeling too well for a day or so, and then it just goes away and you feel fantastic afterwards. So this is good. It's good to see the country doing this. We're getting to the point where everyone gets that vaccine, or large enough numbers get it where we're safer. And notice I did not say where we're safe, where we're safer.
We're safer.
People still need to wear a mask.
Right.
That doesn't change. I mean, so what the vaccine does not keep you from getting the virus, does not keep you from being able to carry the virus.
Nope.
It just adjusts your body, teaches your body how to deal with it so that you do not get seriously ill from the virus. But you can still transmit it. The mask is the easiest way to control transfer that you can do. That's the whole purpose of the mask, not to protect you, it's to protect everyone else. Everyone seems to forget that. But it's good to see. Things are opening up. We been down and we went out to eat. People around, people having a good time, but for the most part, people still being respectful. Masks walking in,
right?
Getting your seat, sit down, take your mask off with your immediate party. that's great. So yeah, we're getting closer and closer to getting to a better, closer sense of normalcy, I think.
What's your thoughts on vaccine passports? Because that is, without the doubt, going to be the next political football. Yep. Where 6 months ago, where it was to wear a mask or not to wear a mask, that was the question. It's going to be governors either giving the thumbs up for vaccine passports or giving the thumbs down and shutting it down.
What this is, we are the United States, right? And we try to, as much as possible, give each state its control over what happens within it. Personally, I say the vaccine passport should be a national thing. If you're going to do it, yes. make it national.
Yes.
And yep, you do it by the app or whatever the case may be. But just take all the questions out of it. Take all the, how is this one going to do it? How is this one going to implement it? And who's managing it here? And blah, blah, blah. Make it national. Yes, that means it's going to be a database. I'm sorry, I hate to tell you that. You're going to be in a database, knowing whether or not you got it. But so what? You don't want to get it? Okay, fine. So your vaccine passport says, no, didn't get it. That's the price you pay. But that's personal opinion. Make it national. Do the vaccine passport. You got to be careful how you do it so people can't forge it. That's of course always going to be the issue.
Yes.
But that's how I think it should be done.
I definitely have to agree with you. I definitely agree with you on make it national, because that way all the guessing, all the back and forth, the governors, this one pontificating, that one doing this one thinking about 2024, that takes all of that out of the out of the thought process on it.
Let's face it. This isn't even a national issue. This is the global issue. But it definitely shouldn't be something that's argued amongst the 50 governors, whether or not they want to do something, which is we're doing this for the betterment of the entire country and for purposes of discussion. So yeah, just do it. Make it federal, and that's it.
But say this much: you get vaccinated. Okay, I get it. You don't believe COVID, blah blah blah. But you get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would say the next step is to, like you said, it comes down federal mandate. You get the, you get your QR code or whatever you're going to get on your phone, and it's going to allow you to travel, for one, get back into venues, because everyone is missing their sporting venues and everything else like that. I see it as a plus. I get it that people feel, Big Brother's watching them. Well, think about it already. I mean, the minute you pull up Google, they got you already.
Right. You have a cell phone, they got you. Hate to tell you that too.
Whatever you're typing, you're done. Yep. You're done. So I just don't see an issue. Well, I mean, I guess I can understand the issue on both ends, but I'm like, if it's going to make it easier, then I don't see the problem.
Right. Agreed.
I don't see the problem. I do have a question for you. What happens if, or should I say to you, for all the people that got their, received their vaccine, and I can't tell you how many times on social media you see someone putting their card and all their personal information on social media, and
yes,
you just kind of sit there and you just shake your head. You shake your head. Rich, why?
Well, before I even answer it, I'm going to say Natalie AZ. Thank you for subscribing. You know what? I think the answer to that is there's still a huge number. Hashtag pause. I had my answer, but I wanted to thank her. All right, Tony. I think the answer truly is people just don't think about it. They
Do they
don't.
get excited?
Well, everyone, for those that are agreeing to the whole process, they're proud to show, yep, I got my COVID shots. I'm done. I'm safe. I'm in. And that's great. The privacy aspect, like you said, showing some of that more personal information, that PII, they just forget that. Oh yeah, you just put this out there for the world to see in a hot second. You sure you think you're posting it to just your pick your social media friends, but it's out there for the world to see. So you just have to be careful about things like that. But with that said, yeah, people are happy to show off that they got their COVID shot. That they understand the seriousness, and are taking it seriously, and are part of those who believe that they're helping.
I mean, I'm with you. I am. Privately, I could see sharing that information,
Mm-hmm.
with close friends and family. I really can't see that happening. I think we've gone too far. We've come too far for us to still be doing this.
So what I would say, I would ask then, okay, let's, for argument's sake, say someone takes a picture of their COVID inoculation card, hides the PII. Okay, then really there's no difference between that
Then you're fine.
and everyone who got the sticker that says I voted, or I got my
You're
shot,
fine.
and all that.
You're fine.
Right. People just have to remember and realize that, yeah, you can't show even that kind of information to the world, and
No,
really that's all there is to it.
because they got your name, they got your date of birth. What
Right.
else do they need?
Right.
There's a couple of identifiers right there.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, or maybe we've been doing this too long.
That's the answer. We look at it right away and like, don't do that.
I want to read something to you, Rich. It's on Cutting the Cord. It's on latenightparents.com. Cutting the cord, but not the credit card. When streaming first came on the scene, consumers thought it was a better and cheaper way to watch TV shows. After all, Netflix used to be just $7.99. That's not the case anymore. As more companies craft their own streaming plans, consumers are paying more and more each month to keep watching. If you combine the current cost of Amazon Prime Video, insert your favorite, provider, whether it's AT&T or Verizon or Comcast or Spectrum,
Mhm.
Netflix and Disney Plus, you're paying on average of $92 a month.
Right.
The average cost of the cable bundle is $93.50. What's the worst part about the streaming package? It leaves out Discovery Plus, Apple TV Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, and more.
Mm-mm.
Will streaming survive the surplus of services?
So this is one of the things that you've gone farther down the rabbit hole than I have, as far as attempting cord cutting.
Right.
Right. I'm still a subscriber to my local provider, and it's a big nut every month. And of course, I'm not just in the basic plan, so I'm getting a whole bunch of the premium channels.
Right.
But I've always looked at that and thought about it. It's like, let's see, if I were to cut back, if I was to say, all right, just give me basic TV. I'm still gonna need that. I'm sorry. Give me basic cable, none of the movie channels. And then if I was to go to those separate providers and subscribe to the HBOs, the Cinemaxes, the Stars, the Showtimes, the Disney Pluses, and all that, it would add up and probably cost more.
Yeah.
But some of this may also, I think some of this may depend on where you live, because now this is something I've never looked at to see if, say, I'm with Optimum. I've never looked to see if pricing with Optimum in a less dense urban area is lesser than it is here. But that's just a curiosity. But I agree. I don't when I've done the quick math, there was not a huge amount of savings to be found for me to keep all the packages I have. Now, with that said, there are certain things like Disney Plus, for example, which you're allowed to share these accounts with families. So now that I've got older children who have their own accounts, I may have been supplying the Netflix for everyone for the last 20 years, but now they're supplying the Disney Plus. One's doing that, someone else is supplying Hulu, and it's all family logins, so it all works out. I
That's
think
smart.
you need to look at it. You need to really do the math. And personally, I say if it's within 10%, why bother? I mean, 10% is 10%, but there's a little bit of an ease to saying, okay, it's all in one service, and because I'm a subscriber to the premium services, I still can sign in to the majority of the personalized services anyway because I'm paying for it through my account. Um, yeah, so I say for anyone looking to do it, be careful, look carefully, and like you just said, take into consideration that any one of those independent subscriptions, the price can go up at the drop of a dime, and Netflix was sure a prime example of that. So and they price these things out too because they know that everyone if someone is signed up for we'll say HBO Max, it's because they've cut a cord or in the cable somewhere else, and they're trying to save a buck. Which don't we all want to do that?
Yeah, I would think. I guess next question is we've got 18 streaming services out there. You can't have them all.
Right.
That's why I tell you, and I know you do this too. I love Roku. Yes. Because what your cable bundle can't provide for you, Roku can. Meaning you could, so let's just, we're subscribed to a cable provider. You can go and say, hey, I really just want to see 10 channels.
Right. You could. Yes.
And of course, you're going to pay for 2,000 of them, 2,000 channels, in multiple languages and all different genres that you're just like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not even the slightest bit interested in this.
Right.
I don't know. I'm waiting for the point where kind of what happened recently with the WWE Network and Peacock in the United States. Basically, WWE Network folded into Peacock from NBC.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all their pay-per-views and all their archives are available. This is strictly just in the U.S. They still stand on their own outside the U.S. But I was expecting to see more of that, kind of like the Paramount Plus, which I signed up for.
From CBS All Access became Paramount Plus, and just encapsulated all of those products. And that's Paramount Plus sounds pretty good. I've looked at it too, and I've thought about subscribing to that because
I sent you
Star Trek. Yes, you did. I saw that. Yes, I did.
$25.
But it came with something else. I was like, then I got to sign up for.
Oh, it's sports betting and all this other type of stuff.
Yeah.
But the heck with the sports betting stuff. So the whole thing is $25. But the key to it, Rich, is the stuff that I send you is put it in your calendar because that $25 balloons to $99.
Right.
On day 366.
Michael, how are you? Good to see you.
Michael, how you doing? I just want to let you know, Rich. Michael has said we got to set it up. One of these upcoming weeks, we do a live stream with Michael.
Let's do it.
Specifically wants to do a live stream with you. The Golden Pipes of Rich Valdez.
Oh, thank you, Michael. I'd be happy to. I'd be honored to.
Yeah, no, Michael's great. He does something special on this network.
Yeah, I've viewed a couple of his broadcasts.
It's just really awesome how he just brings plucks people, brings them together, and really gets the best out of them. He's got the skills to pay the bills. Yes, he does.
From your typing fingers to the rest of the world.
Rich, I put something in there for you might have to scroll up. Netflix may crack down on password sharing. Finally.
Well, so when they say crack down on the password sharing, I will read the article in a bit. I mean, I got it over here. Does this include those in your family? I mean, so if I've got the account which says I can have 5 viewers,
right,
then that's all I need. So now if I can't let my 5 people who are my viewers have separate usage or concurrent usage, that's I don't know how fair that is. Because I mean, there could be 5 people in the same household on 5 TVs, which is what it was at one point. So I'm sure they definitely need to crack down on those who are sharing it with the campus. Yes. I would like to see their reports on account usage activity. And sure, I would have there is no justifiable argument against them saying, all right, if your account is logged into more than, and this is a high number, I think, if your account is logged into more than 10 different individual locations, chop, no good, or you've got a month to clean it up.
Correct.
If that's the kind of thing they want to do, yeah, that's within their right. I think that's fair.
Correct. And I think the document talks about, I think the blog talks about it. Netflix as the entity itself understands, hey, I have 5 people in my household, with 5 different profiles, but it's when that one account logs in 19 times.
Right.
19 different instances, 19 different IP addresses, all over the world.
Completely within their right to shut that down. Absolutely. Right. Oh, I just thought about something. So, if you remember on 4 days ago, when for April, am I losing you?
I think you're still there.
So. 4 days ago, one of our favorite technology companies, Wyze, sent out an email for something which really did look like it should have been a April Fool's joke, but it turns out that it wasn't.
And was it on April Fool's Day?
It was April 1st. Yeah, they totally screwed the pooch with that because it looked too good, even though the email clearly said on the mail that they sent out on the 31st, the email clearly said this is not an April Fool's joke.
Okay.
This is legit. We have this vehicle. We just want to, give you guys something to have some fun with.
Right.
There were 5,000 units. And they said they were going to roll them out 500 an hour for 10 hours, starting at, I believe it was 9:00 Pacific time.
Okay.
I was lined up. I was online. You figure, all right, you get there early, try to click, just like when you're trying to get those tickets or anything else.
Yes.
You get through, you get it in the cart, you click purchase or go to checkout, and you get nothing but the spinning icon. Like, okay, this is going to happen. First time, sure, no problem. Next hour, basically the same thing. Next hour, it's in the cart. Just got to process the payment. Spinning, no good. They have caught so much flack because my experience seems to have been the norm.
Good.
So much flack on their boards, on their, the public social media, they just handled it incorrectly, or they did not, their engineering team is phenomenal for the products that they put out. They need to, as I told them, they need to put some of those engineering heads behind their e-commerce platform and make it work so that when they have a situation like this, it doesn't crumble under a little bit of pressure, which is exactly what it did. And, some people are what I believe is overreacting, saying, I'm never going to buy from Wyze again. This experience was horrible, blah, blah, blah. That's a little far, I think. We didn't get our Wyze car, which still looks like a really cool little thing. Plug in one of your old cameras, control it from the phone. It looks like it's 4-wheel drive. Drive this thing all over the place to have some fun with it. But this was just a case of, someone maybe in their own social team or again in their e-commerce group wasn't really expecting maybe the demand they got, and it turned into an S show for them. But yeah, I guess these also are some things that are to be expected. But I'm still going to try to get one. The bots got them, and someone's trying to sell them for a couple $100. It's like, nah. That was my negative purchasing online experience for the week.
Almost similar to the bots almost getting me a few seconds ago. I saw that because you had mentioned it, and I said, that's pretty cool. They make the coolest products. I tell you this because
you got yours. Mine is in the other room. I'm going to probably connect it this week.
Wise Smart Sprinkler. The greatest thing about it is you got to check for your county, Rich. For my county here, believe it or not, they are giving you up to $150 rebate.
Really? I've got to look at that.
For smart sprinklers, because of course, they want to get, they're so far beyond it's pouring raining outside and your sprinkler is on.
Right.
So that's the deal. I pulled it up because I got a message, and the message stated, from my county, like, hey, we're doing this. The funding is there. All you have to do is go to the website, provide the receipt, let us know if you're installing it or if you're going to have it professionally installed. And that's that. And now I'm losing you. I think I lost you for a second. But smart sprinklers, for those that have sprinkler systems installed, you got to get a smart sprinkler. You got to get something to the point where the days of going into your garage and going to the control panel and turning on your system and making modifications, for the most part, that's done. You have to go and make these changes on your phone, on your mobile device, where you can be anywhere in the world and make that change to turn your sprinkler system on. Now, for the most part,
I'm back.
You're back.
Me. It was on my side.
That's you.
Which will dovetail into one other thing I was going to discuss.
Go ahead.
Networking, home networking. I'm pretty sure that was mine. One of my primary router has been of recently knocking itself offline occasionally. And so I'm looking at going with one of the mesh networking, because my setup here at home, of course, I've got my primary Netgear router, and then just to provide ridiculous coverage everywhere, there's two other Wi-Fi routers upstairs, which are only acting as access points. They're not providing full routing.
Okay.
So I've got a gazillion SSIDs, certain devices dedicated just to specific routers.
Oh, that's nice.
Things like that. Yeah, it works. When it works great.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking of going mesh just so that I can eliminate.
I think we lost you.
Nope, still there.
Okay, you're back.
No, I'm back. Yep. The goal is stable connection. So I'll be reporting on that soon. I'm doing my research, looking to see what is, I'm never one to go bleeding edge.
So tell me this:
something good.
Would you be open to purchasing your own modem? And I don't know. I'll wait for you to come back, but I'll put it out there. Instead of leasing your modem, purchasing your own modem, and from there, You could throw up whatever repeater or extender that you would want. I'm alone again. Chat room is pretty quiet tonight. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. We're waiting for Rich to come on back. This is Ted Hicks from Late Night Parents. As I mentioned before, hope everyone had a wonderful Easter. If you celebrate, which you should, what did you do today? Did you cook out? Did you order in? Were you with family? Were you by yourself?
And
there you go.
And this is why we have multiple IDs, because I can connect to one of the other ones, and here we go. But
Tony
this is again one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. Yeah, so I'll maybe next time we speak have some information.
But here's my question for you: would you be open to purchasing your own modem?
Yeah, but at the modem my modem doesn't seem to be the issue.
Okay.
It's my router.
Okay.
The modem is solid. I've never, I reboot that once every couple of months just because, but that's not what the failure is. The failure is definitely in the router.
Is the modem and the router combined, or the motor and router separate?
Separate. No, they're separate.
Okay. Maybe, I don't know. For what I did was I went with the combined modem / router, and added a repeater upstairs because the kids were upstairs complaining. They're like, right. Oh, it's too slow. It's this, that, and I set it up with basically 3 SSIDs.
Right. So it's basically the same thing, similar.
And I parsed certain people because if you're streaming on Sony PlayStation and Xbox, I don't even want you on disrupting what I do down here. So home security and the like is on a totally separate one.
Yep, same thing.
You keep it, you got to segment it. But what worked for me was the combo modem, router, and then repeater. And I never heard another word from them again.
Right. That's not a bad idea, even though what I don't prefer about the combo is because I'll replace my routers on a regular basis, just for the latest technology.
Okay.
And I don't want it to all be tied into the one.
Okay.
Into one device.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm debating. I could still just go get another good router and then pick up a couple of repeaters, stick them upstairs, because of course I wired the whole house so I can get everything online with a direct connection. I might go that route, but I'm looking at exploring the mesh as well, just because technology is technology. Get some Wi-Fi 6 out of the deal, and see what I can do.
No, that's smart. That's smart. I was just primarily looking at the fact that a way to get around the leasing bill, that monthly leasing cost that they stick you with, and I won't.
Well, I'll go that regardless. Because I've got to have the cable modem regardless.
Yeah. Because I was what you can do is you provide your own. You give them the Mac.
Yeah.
And you go, very nicely go to hell. I mean, if I had stayed with Optimum, that's what I would have done, because I told you it was like horror stories dealing with them.
Yeah, you had bad experiences. I gotta say I'm the reverse. I have great experiences,
and it's good. It's good. It just got to the point where I as I've said to you many times, I lost my lunch when I'm standing online, modem in hand. I get up to when it's my turn. Now, the entire room is filled with people with their modems in their hands.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And when I get up there, they hand you a refurbished modem.
Right.
In a clear plastic bag. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, they need to get, we're at the point, this kind of dovetails back to the earlier conversation about bandwidth and technology and availability of services. Right. They need to do what Spectrum has done, at least to the limit of provide the app. If you're a Spectrum provider, you don't need to have a cable. As long as you're paying for the internet, you don't need the cable box. Just install the app on your smart TV and be done with it. Optimum needs to do that, because I got to think that, sure, even though they're making that $10 a month or whatever it is these days off of your cable boxes, they could get out of that business to a huge percentage and not worry about the inventory and the purchasing, because they still got to buy them to lease them, which is what they're doing. They could probably shave a whole lot of expenses off of that, and it doesn't cost them anymore because those boxes run over Ethernet anyway. It's the cable system, the wiring is different, but it's still over IP. That's what they need to do. They need to just get with the program, develop the good app, and they can maybe save a lot of grief, heartache, and probably save some money as well.
I would say it's too lucrative for them. It really is, because when you have so many legacy customers that are not in the know, and that you're used to charging them, hey, I've paid this bill, this $10 bill for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
It's
but they're paying. They've got inventory. They've got to manage all those devices.
I know.
And for half of them, they wouldn't need to have the cables in place and be responsible for those. If you drop that, it should be something they explore. Because if Spectrum can do it, and of course we all know that really was Time Warner, if they can do it, why can't Optimum? And they should. And it wouldn't be like everyone would cut immediately. You still have to have a decent smart TV to support installing a separate app, but everyone is getting those over time.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with you on that. It's just the way they do business is archaic. I kind of wish the Google Fiber project never really got halted, and I kind of wanted them to go from city to city. Kind of like how they were in Kansas City and then North Carolina, and then just moving all around, because these legacy companies, these internet providers, with their overpriced cable bundles, and now hey, I'll give you 200 megs up and 150 down, and I'm like, come on.
Yep.
A company like Google Fiber, Google and their Google Fiber division could have really challenged them to step up.
Right. Well, they might have been some of the impetus for Verizon and Fios going on full tilt the way they did in their advertising and pushing the service. Let's face it, it's really the same thing.
Yes.
So maybe there might have been some good that came from it, or maybe also Google might have realized, wow, it's really it's extremely costly to get to some of these locations.
Yes.
Just to be a provider for them later on. But I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think Long Island would have been a perfect second level location for them to just try to come in, get Google Fiber everywhere, and test it in a high density environment that's not fully urban. It would have been a good spot, good test, but we won't be seeing that.
I do have a couple of things before we wrap up. What are you watching? Are you watching the Here's Negan episode tonight?
I'm still catching up. So I started watching again. So I'm, more than half. I'm into the beginning of season 10 restart.
Okay.
All right. So, but I'm not up to date yet. I'm probably 7 shows behind, I think. So no, I'm not watching it tonight.
Okay.
I haven't, been doing too much of the streaming stuff. Movies wise, Godzilla vs. Kong. I did watch that last night.
What'd you think?
It was entertaining. That's what I'll say. You can't fall back on comparing anything to reality when you're talking about, 200-foot tall monkeys and reptiles. But it was entertaining. Forget the science. Forget everything you see. Just take it, absorb it, go with it, and it was a fun movie.
Hour 53 runtime, I think, was perfect.
Yeah.
For that movie.
Yeah, it was
perfect. No human character development.
Nope.
VFX CGI was pretty good.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
I feel a lot better about the movie because I got to see it on HBO Max.
Exactly. Same here.
Versus being in a movie theater and paying for that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If I'd done that, I would have. But then again, I don't know if I would have gone to the theater to see it unless I was doing the Ted Super Special matinee.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
But here's one for you because I know this is you. I'm sure you sat through it. The Snyder Cut.
Oh, in all of its glory. 4 hours, 2 minutes. Kind of happy they didn't release it. They were going to release it via episodes. It was supposed to be 4 episodes.
Right, I've heard. And a lot of people have said, watch it as episodes. Don't try to cram the whole 4 hours.
Don't try it. And that's what I did. I watched it as in 3 different sittings.
Okay.
I watched it in 3 different sittings. It's 4 hours and 2 minutes runtime. Action was happening, I think, 3 hours and 52 minutes.
Okay.
Things were happening. I love DC. I'm glad we got to see the Snyder Cut. I'm glad we got to see it finally.
So you're the DC guy. I am not. I thought that the first one was pure trash. I think there have been 3 decent DC movies. Dark Knight, without question, best thing they ever did for DC.
Yes.
The first Wonder Woman movie, great movie.
That second one on HBO Max, did you see it?
Yeah, I did, and that was 3 hours of my time that I'll never get back.
It was painful,
and I enjoyed. It's not great. It's not the best, but I think it's still the third of them. Man of Steel. I enjoyed that movie. It has its issues. Don't get me wrong, but I thought it was an entertaining. It was an entertaining movie. The acting, everything was pretty good. Those are the only everything beyond that. Yeah, okay, maybe Batman Begins can be a close fourth, but I'm done after that. So, I mean, yeah, I will probably watch it. Definitely not in one sitting. I'll view it in 2 or 3 sittings, and I'll try to keep an open mind.
Just think in your mind. You're not losing your mind, okay? It's in 4:3.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, forget it. I'm not even. That's right. I totally forgot about that. Yes. I heard that as well. That's enough for me to say no, thank you.
Because Rich, I'm sitting there with my remote, like, wait, what's going on?
Right.
What's going on? I'm like, all right, let me shut it down. Let me shut down the TV. I'm like,
why?
I can tell you that much. It was I did enjoy it. I mean, it's a totally different version than
the first one.
Yeah, the Joss Whedon version.
Yeah.
Totally different. I mean, it's like when you look at this version that was released, you say, why in the world did they release that other hunk of junk?
What was it? Zach had a death in the family, right?
Right.
Isn't that what it was? I mean, and they still wanted to get something out, but like you're saying, really, they should have just held off.
I thought Aquaman.
The studios want their money.
Yes, I thought Aquaman was pretty good.
No. I found that painful as well. No.
I will tell you this much: on Amazon Prime Video, Invincible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's
heard about it. Okay.
From the creator of The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman.
Yep.
And all the voices are by basically everyone that's in The Walking Dead.
Right. Okay.
are doing the voices.
Okay.
So really, it's hardcore too, Rich.
Good.
It's
Animation doesn't have to
hardcore.
be kiddie.
Oh no, it's not for kids. It's
Right.
not for kids at all. There's just gore, and it's like, wow, really.
Okay.
What else? I can't wait for the Fear the Walking Dead because I was always a big fan of that.
Great
I was more
show, and
of
I've
a
got to
fan.
get back into it.
I was more of a fan of Fear the Walking Dead than I was The Walking Dead.
I can see that.
And what they've done for this season 6, they've made it all the episodes, for the most part, are like anthology like. It's only a few characters in there on each episode, and they solely focus on that character.
Okay.
The writing, everything, they really stepped it up this season.
Yes, I stopped watching that. I think it was the season before the reboot. So was that season 3?
Yes.
I think. But I've been saying I need to start watching that again too. Because it was, I guess, it just fell off. I had no issues with the show. Great show.
Yeah, it's really good now. And the fact that Morgan is over there.
Right.
And Morgan is Clear Morgan over there.
Clear Morgan?
Yeah. Kind of crazed.
Okay.
Kind of crazy. Kind of like willing to do anything. Clear Morgan is more in the lines like you see him and you just see bodies all around him.
Okay. Good.
So he's Rick to their show, but he's a much more violent version.
Right. All right. Rick Unchained.
Yes, totally. Good. So the last thing I was going to, what was the other thing I was going to watch? Only other show I wanted to watch was, what is it? It's on Apple TV.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Losing Alice. It's like an 8 episode, psychological thriller.
Okay.
It starts off with, some lady. She's a writer, or she's a film director or something like that, producer.
Right.
And she gets a script from a young upcoming writer, and just everything goes south from that point on. But yeah, I wanted to watch that. I think I'm gonna spend, hopefully this time, watching that next week.
Gotcha.
Anything on your hit list?
No, I'm kind of thumbing through the channels these days, just looking to see what's on, see what grabs my eye. There is a Hulu show, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but again, something I heard about on another podcast. It's kind of a study on human psychology. Kind of, this guy does, if I understand the premise correctly, this guy is doing kind of like doing magic, but based on, instead of just sleight of hand type things, it's human psyche kind of questions, and it turns into a study with the people. I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it sounded interesting. So now that we have a Hulu account in the house, I will be adding it to the TV and taking a look.
Oh, okay. I will mention it's not coming out until I think the September, the 21-22 season, fall season. They're bringing back CSI.
Classic show. Come on now.
They're bringing back CSI, and ready for it? Wait for it. CSI Vegas, where it all started.
Oh, nice.
With Grissom. With Sarah Seidel.
Sarah, yeah.
And there's going to be just a new group of people that have taken over the crime lab, and I guess they're going to be helping out. I am stoked for that. I think it's only going to be like maybe, I don't know. I think they said maybe 8 to 12 episodes. They want to make it like an event.
Okay.
Like something happens, and somehow, either they call on Grissom, like out of retirement, to help them out. And
God, how long was that show? That was like 20 years ago, it seems.
Yes, 21 years ago, man.
Wow. Well, that's good though. That was an awesome show. I mean, that started a genre by itself.
That iteration of the show. I mean, I liked Horatio Kane. I like that in Miami. David Caruso with the glasses. He would always say that. And then the reason why.
That's what he gets for eating popcorn.
But and Mac from CSI New York, I also liked him. But it starts and ends with Gilbert Grissom. And I think I lost you for. Well, it starts and ends with Gilbert Grissom. I mean, I've always been a fan of that show, that iteration of that show. I think like the first 7-8 seasons, unstoppable. And then after Grissom left, then it was something else. Because, they started cycling in other people and everything else like that. I was saying that I was a big fan of the show CSI. Those first 7, 8, 9 seasons
were awesome.
Were awesome. Must see TV.
Yep.
After Grissom left and Lawrence Fishburne took over, it was still good like that first season. And then
it fell off. I had already stopped watching it. I stopped, I think, after maybe season 4, 5.
And then Ted Danson joined. And then nobody even talks about CSI Cyber because that was like a bust.
That was the one that didn't quite make it, right?
Yeah. That was a total bust. But I could see them taking the CSI Cyber approach, applying it to the crime lab in Vegas, and then having Gil Grissom and Sarah come in to help them. I could see that.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I told you I was jazzed for that when I saw that. Other than that, I think that's about it. This is a supersized episode here.
That's all right.
Anything? Well, I can't even say anything exciting you're working on because they don't have tech conferences anymore. They don't have this. Everything's virtual. Rich,
not really. This is just lay low and observe. Look at emails. I've been going on an email subscription filtering kick. It's like time to reset all that junk mail. I can't call it junk mail. All those unsolicited emails that I've subscribed to over the years.
Right.
It's like, all right, I don't.
I think that's something good to do. You go in, you clean out your mailbox. Your electronic mailbox, and it's kind of like spring cleaning. I see you. You're in and out. It's like an episode of Star Trek where you're phasing in and out. I don't know if you just heard me.
This is why I'll be getting a new device.
Yeah, I said it's like an episode of Star Trek. You're phasing in and out.
I can't hear you yet. I'm probably bouncing around from too many local networks right now.
Got you. Well, hey, we're going to go. Oh, I said you're phasing up. Yeah, I lost you. But hey, as we get ready to wrap this up, I want to thank our friends at HAPS. I want to thank our friends at iHeartRadio. I want to thank our friends at WGBB Radio, the 405. What else? The Underground, XRP Radio. I was saying to you before, it's like an episode of Star Trek. You're phasing in and out.
Phasing in and out.
Yes.
Oh, no green screen here, so I won't fade into the nothingness.
Yes. But like I said, there's no tech conferences. There's no this. There's no that.
Yep.
You know, and I think we're going to be like this. And I said this to you before, until 22.
Yeah, I think they're going to try and start a couple of the big ones. I think we're going to see in the fall of this year.
Do you think we're going to? Where's CES? You see CES happening in January, in 22 in person.
The only reason I'm going to hedge on that is because they need so much time to plan that and organize it. They pretty much start getting it together right after. Yeah, 23. You know, unless heaven forbid something else goes wrong. 23 for sure.
Yeah.
January 22, I think is already a push to try to organize it and get it together. When things are still kind of up in the air as to where we'll be. You know, no one can say with 100% certainty that by the end of fall of this year that everything is back to a state where they can make that decision.
Okay. Richie V, best ways to get in contact with you?
Hit me on the Twitters, Late Night Rich.
And I am the real Ted Hicks, and we are out of here. Later, people.
Thank you all for viewing us, joining us, Tony, Michael,